This week on the Retirement Quick Tips podcast, I'm talking about the best investment accounts for grandchildren. Today, I'm talking about using a Roth IRA for kids. And the beauty of this is that it gives them a super early start on saving for retirement. Sometimes they're called Roth-For-Kids, custodial Roths. Now, they have special requirements and rules that you want to be aware of. There's some drawbacks to be aware of too, but in general, if you're wanting to save for retirement for your grandchildren at a very early age, which I think is a good goal, then these are a great way to do that because it basically gives them at least an extra decade of saving and investing for retirement, which is huge. In fact, if someone starts saving $200 a month for retirement at the age of 25 and you earn 7% a year, you're going to have about $500,000 by the time you're 65. But if instead of starting at 25 years old, they start 10 years earlier, at the age of 15, maybe they get their first job, they're babysitting, house sitting, dog walking, whatever, and they make enough money to also do those $200 a month contributions, or as I'll come back to this, maybe you're helping to match those contributions. But if you start that same $200 a month contribution at age 15, you don't have $500,000 at age 65. That extra decade of saving and investing actually doubled your money. Now you have over $1 million. And that is why starting just 10 years earlier, you allowed the eighth wonder of the world, which is compound interest, to work a lot more. In fact, it works so much more that you doubled your retirement savings. So a custodial Roth or a Roth for kids that allows 50 years of retirement savings instead of where most people start, they might only save for 25, 30, maybe 40 years at the very top end. Now you're saving for 50 years. And so that's why it's a really powerful tool if you want to help your grandchildren financially. Okay, so let's talk about the basics of these. So a Roth for kids or a custodial Roth, it provides the same benefits as a normal Roth IRA. So it has after-tax contributions. So money goes in, has already been taxed, but then it grows tax-free from there. And then you get tax-free withdrawals later in life. But it's geared towards children under 18. So anyone can contribute to a child's Roth IRA, parents, grandparents, other relatives. But the rub is that the child has to have earned income. So you can't set one of these up for my 19-month-old because I can't really make the case that he has a job and he earns income. He still poops his diaper. So that's a tough one. But the child has earned income, and that can be wages from a job. It could even be from things like babysitting, dog walking, etc. So they're ideal for teenagers who are already making some money and have the ability to save a little bit. So they can put up to $7,000 in 2024 into that Roth account. Or if they didn't earn $7,000, it's capped at whatever their earned income is for the year. So if they made $5,000 that year, then they can't do anything more than that. So whichever is less, $7,000 or whatever their earned income is. I like these for grandparents because do you think it's realistic that if your grandchild makes $5,000 this year, that they're going to put all $5,000 into their Roth account? No. But maybe what you could do is you could say, okay, Johnny or Jenny, for every dollar that you put in, I'll put in $2. Or for every dollar that you put into this, I'll put in $3. And that incentivizes the grandchild who still gets to spend some of their money, but it prevents them from sinking all of it into new wheels for their car or video games or going on a shopping spree at Sephora. We want them to think about and save and get in the habit of saving early and consistently. That's the idea here. And you can still have those larger contributions that help them get up to the maximum, but without them having to put like 100% of their pay into the Roth because that's not realistic. That's not fun. I wouldn't want to work and have a job if 100% of it was going into something that I wouldn't be able to enjoy for decades down the road. Now, some of the disadvantages of these custodial Roth IRAs is that once the minor becomes an adult, again, these are like the other minor accounts where because it's an account that you set up for them in their name, that money is actually theirs. You're just safeguarding it until they get to adulthood. So once they get to 18 or anywhere between 18 to 25, depending on which state it is, then control of the account must be transferred to them. So even though that the idea here is that this money is earmarked for future expenses, Doesn't even have to be for retirement. Although, again, like the example illustrates earlier, I don't know why you wouldn't want to earmark it for retirement when you have 50 plus years that you could be saving. But again, they could access those funds and take that money out if they choose. Also, assets in a Roth, a custodial Roth for children, it could affect their eligibility for financial aid. So you want to explore that. A lot of these minor accounts, like 529s, other types of accounts, they're going to have a similar potentially adverse impact on aid eligibility. It's not something that's unique to Roths, but it is the first time I mentioned it this week. So it's worth mentioning that a lot of these accounts that you might set up, if you're looking ahead to financial aid for college, especially need-based financial aid, you could have some surprises with them down the road. Although, again, I would say the benefits outweigh the potential downside when it comes to financial aid versus having $1 million in a Roth IRA at age 65. One other thing about this is that I kind of mentioned this, but I just want to hit on this again before we close out for the day. And Roths, like any of these other accounts that you might set up for your grandchild, they do require some education because you want to teach your child or grandchild the best way to use the money, the importance of thinking long term, keeping the money invested, showing them the numbers on this. A lot of time when I talk to young people, that is very motivating to show them like, hey, if you keep this up, if you save $100 or $200 a month and you leave it in there and you don't touch it, and you pretend that it isn't there and you aren't tempted to tap into it, this is what it will look like in 20, 30, 40 years. And that is often very beneficial, but also the incentives through matching, giving them some skin in the game. So you want to be thoughtful about this and find something that's going to work to try to motivate the behavior and the long-term orientation for those grandchildren that you do have where you're thinking about setting up these accounts. All right, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Ashley Mitchikay, and this is the Retirement Quick Tips Podcast.